Good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching from different time zones, good morning or good evening. My name is Marilyn. I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions, or CTS Private Limited. We are passionate about helping people or leaders and organizations who are continuous learners and action takers to transform and thrive by co creating customized programs with our world class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony, PruLife UK, Ayala Group, Chevron, Tencent, Jollibee Foods Corporation, and Shell, to name a few. Expert says that the pandemic will last for the next 4 to 5 years. And this is why we are organizing several interventions, including this interview, to help leaders who don't know how to stay relevant and adapt in the new normal, those who actually find it stressful to lead and ensure performance of a remote team, and those who are afraid that they can't, keep their team or their business um, in this situation or difficult situation. So, for those leaders who'd like to stay relevant and continue to lead effectively in any situation, do join us for several interventions that we do, like this interview, to learn from our leaders, and those that we will interview as well. So today, it's my pleasure, of course, to be able to introduce our leader for today. Manisha Gudka is a certified family business advisor and professional director and founder of Sapientia Family Office Solutions. She has 18 years of experience spanning from investment management, family business advisory, family office management, investment banking, managing family philanthropy, strategy, legal, and compliance. She has extensive experience with fintech, consumer tech, healthcare, sports, media entertainment, BFSI, consumer products, logistics, infrastructures, and industrial products. She has worked with organizations such as Ernst& Young, IIFL Wealth, and Sun Group. So without so much further ado, I'd like to bring in Manisha. Hi, Manisha. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Marilyn. Thank you. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, it's my pleasure to have you here. And just like a background, perhaps from our viewers today, or later on, we've actually met through Clubhouse. Not necessarily met, but hear our voices, sharing and not networking through Go Global Room, right? So it's nice to
Yes.
finally put a face on that voice. And
Yeah,
so let's
thank you.
jump in. Yeah, let's jump into the interview. So the first three questions is mainly to have a better understanding of on from which perspective are you coming from. The next 4 to 6 is mainly about learning from your experience and the nuggets that you will share with us. That's the meaty portion, I would say. And the last 7 to 8 questions would be what I call the Miss Universe questions. So now that's your chance. So okay, to start with, please do share with us your leadership experience and possibly your influencers, the leadership styles that you have experienced, or probably you have or you've been using right now, based on your experience, and who influenced you perhaps.
Yes. So thank you. Thank you for that question. I would start with how I got influenced, how I learned from the leaders who I worked with, and
Mm-hmm.
then, come to what I typically use when I am leading. So when I was a novice and I joined a diversified family business group, I was a
Mm-hmm.
junior and I needed a lot of guidance, like all inexperienced people. So
Mm-hmm.
I got exposure to two different leaders, and both with their unique styles.
Mm-hmm.
So the vice chairman of the group typically. used a combination of authoritative and affiliative leadership styles,
Mm-hmm.
because the way he really put his mission, his thoughts across, and he, took his time to get to know the team, get to know each one who's working with him.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing because people feel connected to the organization when you use, affiliative leadership styles. And, because he knew that he typically had a team full of people who were, full of bright ideas. So
Mm-hmm.
to get the project, get maximum out of the people, he also used the combination of democratic style. So authoritative is where he said, this is what I'm trying to achieve. This is the reason why I want to do it. And do I
Mm-hmm.
have your buy-in? And this is how your work is going to be important to the
Mm-hmm.
project. Then, in affiliative style, it was like, getting us all to the mission, to understand and be passionate about, to be able to identify that I am part of this initiative. And then, he would ask, what are your ideas? How do you think we can do this better? So that really, gets the team to think as to how to go about doing this. But
Mm-hmm.
then the other aspect, the other function where I was working was on legal compliance, something which was very highly regulated.
Yes.
And there, where I was reporting to the COO, the Chief Operating Officer, because again, I was still a junior, a novice,
Mm-hmm.
he sort of used pace setting style where he would himself put that long number of hours, be so much up to the mark with respect to his performance, and lay out high standards expected out of the whole team. And he
Mm-hmm.
also used coaching style of leadership, where he would say, "You're good at doing this. This is an area where you need to improve." So he, in a way, just helped me to understand myself better, and
Mm-hmm.
as he did with all other members, as to these are your strengths, these are your weaknesses, and therefore, this is how you do it. So there was a lot of guidance available at that time with that style of leadership. So I would say it is very contextual, where you would use which style or a combination of styles of leadership. But in
Mm-hmm.
my experience, I think when you have a team which needs a lot of guidance. I think coaching, affiliative, and pace setting styles work better. And then when
Mm-hmm.
you are just brainstorming, or you have a very experienced people working with you, you basically need a democratic, authoritative, and
Mm-hmm.
affiliative leadership styles.
Mm-hmm.
And now coming to me, so when I was leading the organization, sorry, so there, I typically tend to use authoritative and democratic, as well as affiliative, a combination of these on a contextual basis. And in some cases I use coaching style as well. But there's one style which I really don't like, and that's micromanaging, and the perfectionist leader kind of a style, because I don't think that brings out the best in people. I'm also much influenced from a very young age by my mother,
Mm-hmm.
who used to always say that, every human being has a lot to contribute. You have a lot to learn from everyone, and therefore you should basically give them respect, get to know them, even if they are just a janitor in your organization or they are the
Mm-hmm.
CEO, doesn't matter. You have to treat people with respect and get to know them, their situation, and you will find that they will do their best for you. So I continue to follow those teachings of my mom as well.
Thank you for sharing with us those stories and experience that you had. And I love that you've shared that in fact there's no really like one size or one style fits all, right? It's all about combining these different leadership styles, as you've mentioned, to be able to make it more effective in terms of leading your team, right? And of course, as even for me, I mean, my initial leadership experience will be, that of, with our family and those that are around us, right? And I love when you said that, it's really about, knowing each and everyone in our surrounding, whoever they are, and, learning from them as well, right? And so, thank you so much for sharing that. And so the next questions, I mean, based on your experience, based on the, what you've shared with us earlier. So, what is leadership for you then?
I would say leadership is about having a vision, about owning up your vision, and
Mm-hmm.
about making a positive change in people's life and in situations, no matter what arena you're working in. I would
Mm-hmm.
say, leadership, and I've seen so many family business leaders, so they start with this because, as in my experience as a family business advisor, typically I come across the different varieties. There are family business leaders who have started the business because they needed to do something for earning a livelihood, sustain the family lifestyle, and then they move on to achieving higher growth on their business. And they do this because they have a certain vision. They are
Mm-hmm.
trying and aspiring to be the leaders in their industry, to be the best at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to solve some problems which the society is facing, which businesses are facing. And then, by way of solving those problems in a very proactive manner, with a
Mm-hmm.
vision to change the arena that they're working in, whether it is on social entrepreneurship or it is on traditional legacy family businesses, manufacturing, or simple commerce kind of businesses. I think the key ingredients is having that passion for your vision and being on a mission to achieve that, and then to solve those problems. So I think, and in that, what I have seen is, some of the family business leaders are so good at getting things done from people. They basically hire a mix of strategists, thinkers, as well as people who are good at execution. And this sort of a right mix, when you're building up a team, is really, really required. And I think in such a team, it's important that you use your combination of leadership styles to be able to
Mm-hmm.
get the best. So when you are giving some work to people who are supposed to be execution specialists, I think it's best to tell them what is expected and how to do it, and then you make them replicate that. As against that, if you are thinking about strategists and thinkers, and you are expecting that they will come up with some innovation, R&D, and new ideas, it's best to not to tell them what to do and how to think, because then you are limiting them. So leadership is where you are smart to identify, this is the person I'm working with, and this is their core capability, and this is their style and their personality, and therefore I should be able to modulate my behavior when
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get work done from them. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for sharing that with us. And I really like what you've said when it comes to, leadership, for having that vision. And you made mention, I think I've heard this, like, as well with other interviews I had, for being able to let them shine, right? In terms of, like, their strengths, and their capabilities, and let them shine and do what they think. And most especially, I love this part where you said, an effective leader, of course, creates that, positive transformation, to other people, or to their organization, right? Thank you so much for that. And so, a lot of times, and the reason why we're also having this interview is because a lot of leaders also struggled when it comes to leading, especially now that a lot of people are working remotely, and a lot of changes are happening so significantly. So and we've been hearing a lot about new normal, next normal. So in your perspective, how would you actually define or describe the next normal?
Okay, that's a big one. Next normal is something which will not stay normal. So I would say that next normal is going to be a lot of disruptions to traditional businesses, to traditional way of doing business, to traditional way of providing services. So
Mm-hmm.
disruptions is going to be very big part of the game. We
Mm-hmm.
will be seeing increased use of technology, automation, artificial intelligence, and all these will be all solutions to try to make our lives better, easier,
Mm-hmm.
and convenient. But it will also be an era of extreme weather events, increased human suffering because of inequalities of income, and extreme, climate change events as well. Probably food chains are not going to stay pure, and there are some very conscious businesses who are coming up with certain business ideas to make sure that the food chain stays uncontaminated. But right now, access to food for all the people in the globe, that is a challenge, especially uncontaminated food chains. So,
Mm-hmm.
we're likely to see on the business side, there would be disruptions, increased use of tech, artificial intelligence, automation. On the environment side, we're going to see a lot of, again, a disruption to our routine daily lives as we've been used to, because there will be extreme weather events due to climate change. And on the social aspect, I think family as an institution is likely to really suffer, not progress, because people need to really preserve the institution of family, just like you would preserve a heritage building, because we are seeing people getting more and more into silos because of use of technology, and also lots of traveling, interculture mixing up, geographies and borders not staying relevant. So it's going to be all a state of flux and a lot of change. And
Mm-hmm.
in this new normal, we are expected to work, we're expected to thrive, all emotionally, economically, financially, and also spiritually. So that's going to be something which I think is the new normal.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing with us. It's like you have a certain ball in in front of you there, for giving us that much, information in terms of how next normal should look like. And I totally agree with you on this statement where you shared about a lot of disruptions coming in, and but in both cases, of course, there will be, I would say, opportunities. Uh, from the problems that might arise, right? Opportunity for us to be able to add value, or even for using technology and AI and all those automation to make our lives even easier and better, right? So there's always an opportunity that arises through it. And in fact, if I may share with you, I just actually completed an AI basic course. So I've been hearing a lot about AI, but I've never really had that bigger picture in terms of how it can actually automate and make lives easier through AI. And I just uh, took this certification program from Triple AI program. So thank you for sharing that with us. So moving on, from your experience, I mean, you've also had your fair share of corporate experience other than the family businesses that you've been assisting recently. So working with both corporate leaders and family leaders, I would say, family business leaders, what would you say is the top three problems that they normally face?
Okay. Typically, I would summarize the problems in three buckets.
Mm.
Is the connection still on? I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I would summarize those problems in three buckets. One is related to people. So
Mhm.
attracting and retaining talent in your
Mhm.
businesses, in your organization, that's going to be a major challenge.
Mhm.
Because, the patience levels of the people is not the same as those of, maybe 20, 25 years ago. And as we go forward in the future, people are more and more going to be quite self-centered and nomads when it comes to technology, when it comes to work, and when it comes to their own life. And therefore, attracting and retaining talent will be the number one challenge as we move towards the gig economy. Typically, retention of talent is a challenge also because, good people don't leave an organization. When they leave the organization, they probably leave bad management. And again, here the role of leadership and, being able to get people, good people to continue to work with you comes in. Second bucket where the problems I see are, around ability to cultivate resilience from disruptions. Because,
Mhm.
like we discussed, the next normal is not going to be normal. There are going to be so many disruptions to the businesses and to the way
True.
we've been doing production, sales, servicing, etc. So, when there is a disruption, the ability of the business to be able to come out of it very fast and have that resilient growth, that
Mhm.
is a challenge which the corporate leaders face even today, and it's going to continue in the future. And the third thing is around consumer preferences, the customer preferences. So, you're likely to see people shifting from one platform to another, to another, to another. Change in usage of goods and services, how they've been, meeting their own demands, their own needs with respect to getting information, for example, or how they express themselves, how they socialize. So there, the preferences will keep on shifting. And if you as a leader lose track of what your customers' preferences are,
Mhm.
then, slowly it will start to reflect in your business numbers, in your financials, towards a downward trend, and there will be challenges. So, you need to constantly keep on being in touch with your customer preferences and find out from them as to what is it that they want, what is it that they like, or why
Mhm.
are they doing business with you, and so on. So those are the three buckets.
Thank you. And I just actually came from another conversation before our before this interview, and I've been seeing a lot of clients looking into how they can actually improve customer experience as well. I mean, previously a lot of us can still travel and meet them personally, and of course the connection there is different, and so now we continue to ask ourselves, how can I still continue to add value? How can I actually ensure that I will still be the preferred choice of our customers, right? And these are like a continuous effort, or a continuous journey that we have to take with our customers. And I'm actually like one of the things that I actually am blessed with is that I get to think of it right away, and I had a lot of opportunities to have these conversations with leaders like you, and even with my clients, to find out more how we can continue to add value to you, because we can't assume, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So I think an important thing there is also, constantly seek feedback, because when things
Exactly.
change, and if we don't know that there have been changes in the customer's organization, in the client's organization, or in my case, when I'm advising families on governance and on business governance as well as family governance, there would
Mhm.
have been changes that have happened within the family or within the business, or with respect to their money. And if we are not aware of those changes, then it becomes a challenge, because you can't address things that you're not
Mhm.
aware of. So I think that increased connect with clients and
Mhm.
increased use of certain specific feedback mechanisms to get to know that there are changes with respect to your client organizations or with the individual customer. If you're in a B2C business selling some shampoo or some food product or any tech product or anything for that matter, you need
Mhm.
to be in tune with what they're thinking.
Mhm. Thank you. We've actually talked about the top problems that you've shared as well, and so of course with that problem, it's good to have a few solutions to offer our audience as well. So, what are actually the important leadership capabilities or skills you must have in the next normal to be able to continue to lead effectively?
Hmm. So yeah, like the first thing is be aware, understand where things are changing,
Mm-hmm.
how is competition behaving, how is a new category being created. So basically, understand what's happening in the market, understand
Mm-hmm.
with your environment and your competition and your customers, and also within the organization, what's changing, what are the dynamics of the internal functioning that needs to change. Second thing is, once you know, okay, that things have changed, you basically need to
Mm-hmm.
first accept that change because there's no point
Mm-hmm.
fighting. Now, in my experience as a family business advisor, I've seen some of the senior generations for mid-sized and small family businesses. They are still, in that little era where, they have a bit of a screen around them where they feel that it's okay, I've been doing this for 30 years, things are going to be fine, and I don't need to change. So this is where they are trying to not accept that there is change happening around them. So the first thing is you can't avoid change, it is inevitable. So you have to understand what's changing, accept change, and then know how you are, know where you are as a leader. You need to know your own personality. You need to know the personality of the people working with you, as to
Mm-hmm.
what is their best style of working and what is your best style of working, and how can there be synergies. So know yourself, manage yourself, manage your
Mm-hmm.
emotional quotients, manage your behaviors. I would say, acknowledge that there is change, understand what is changing, accept that there is change, know yourself, manage yourself better, know your people who are working with you, manage your people to get the best out of them, be very good with human relationships, and develop a culture of innovation because you will need innovation to thrive in the next normal. Whether that innovation is to a minor level or it is to a very high level of extreme innovation, you will need it. And therefore, continue to have that culture of innovation in your organization so that you can have that resilience to thrive in the new normal.
Yes, and I love how you've actually transitioned from, of course, first and foremost, being able to know and manage yourself, so that you can adapt and to embrace that change, to, of course, handling or managing your people, and ending it with having that relationship with human relationship with others, and of course the culture of innovation. I remembered in our summit last February, one of the leaders shared the reason for thriving is to continuously innovating yourself, your organization, continue to innovate and reinvent, and to provide solutions to your customers, right? So yeah, and having said that, let's move on to the next question, which is, what do you believe is the role of learning, leadership, and transformation in thriving in the next normal? Having been able to, identify or define this already.
Right. So once you've done this exercise of knowing where you are, knowing where your people are, knowing where your organization is, and then you know that you need to move to the next level. You need to use certain tools, certain practices, certain best practices, and follow certain way of doing things to be able to get there. So learning is definitely going to be another constant, because whatever you learned 20 years ago is not going to be relevant 20 years now. And
Mhm.
therefore, whatever you are learning now is not going to stay relevant again 20 years from today, because the change is happening at such a rapid pace. The learning also has to happen to be able to tide over that. And people who are working as developers on technology products would be able to so relate to this. They have to keep learning new technologies every few years, because the other earlier technology became obsolete
Mhm.
and was no longer in use. But that, apart from technology, even with respect to how you do business, how you
Mhm.
manage your supply chains, how you communicate with your customers, how you connect with your customers, how you enhance their customer experience. So these are all the areas of doing business where you would need newer and newer ways of doing things, and therefore you need to constantly keep learning for yourself, and also make sure that there are proper training programs within the organization for the people, for your people who are working with you, so that they also get these skills, these tools and techniques to apply, so that your organization will thrive. Leadership, as I said earlier as well, leadership is not about sustaining the status quo, because you need to have that vision, and to be able to get that vision, to be able to understand the trends, forecast the trends for yourself, for your organization. I think a very proactive approach is required.
Mhm.
So like with the tools and techniques that you need for operational aspects and for execution, you also
Mhm.
need to keep polishing up your leadership skills and see and learn how everybody else is doing this, how everybody else is practicing leadership, because you will need a combination of leadership styles to function properly in the next normal. And transformation is the other thing, because if your organization has been functioning with a certain structure from the past, it will be very limiting for the organization, because your organization needs to completely transform itself to be able to be a leader in their industry. Uh, so it's one thing to have individual leadership, it's another thing to have the business lead that sector or that industry. And for that, you need to have complete transformation of the way you do things, the way you think, the way you strategize, and also the way you learn and learn to adapt.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And hi to Alicia. She just sent us a message. She's also watching us today. And I really appreciate that you've stressed a lot how important learning is in, being able to adapt in this new normal. And obviously, we can't stay where we are and, come from the perspective of the previous or of the past to be able to handle this new normal or even the next normal, right? So learning will be definitely key for them to be able to embrace that change, to be able to adapt to that new normal, and to be able to stay competitive in whichever industry or cause that they are in, right? And so we go to the our last or to our final two question, which is first is, if you have a magic wand and you can use it, what will you do?
Oh, this is really a Miss Universe question. Okay. Yeah, I think the world is increasingly moving towards collective degradation of
Mhm.
group level human intelligence. By that, what I mean is, you see, there is no end to greed of the people. And just because somebody else is doing something, people want to do that. So there's a lot of me too kind of behaviors. And as a result of that, there is a lot of pressure on the resources that the world has, the Mother Earth has for all of us.
Mhm.
And somewhere, it is showing up in a lot of other natural disasters, catastrophes, and so on. So I would say that there is this collective degradation of human intelligence, at not at an individual level, but at like a common collective level. If I had the magic wand, I would want the humans to become more naturally intelligent, not rely so much on artificial intelligence for their own thought processes, especially, and to have more naturally intelligent as a group. If you have a group of 15 people,
Mhm.
rather than relying on gadgets and technologies, just
Mhm.
be able to be naturally intelligent, so we don't damage Mother Earth in the future. So an
Mhm.
example of the use of magic wand would be something like this, right?
Yes.
Every year, every year, a fixed 45 days in a year period, which we celebrate as,
Mhm.
a regeneration period for Mother Nature. And
Mhm.
this can be celebrated by all the humans across the globe at the same time, by going into a planned, complete shutdown vacation, much like the global lockdown, which we saw in April 2020, but
Mhm.
without the ill effects of COVID-19.
Mhm. That's beautiful. I hope you have a magic wand.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would say, like, I remembered what one of my resource for environmental topics shared, like, sometimes we think that we're actually saving Mother Earth, but in fact we are the ones who are somehow, damaging it. And obviously with COVID-19, it has taught us that, our Mother Earth really doesn't need caring from us.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, Mother
our
Earth just
Mother Earth
needs
can
time
do
to regenerate.
exactly. And not only that Mother Earth can regenerate, but also, it can take care of herself. And that's why, earlier you made mention a lot of the calamities and, unlikely events coming in. It's also because of our work, and it's just like a call to us that, hey, I don't need you, you need me more. Because I mean, Mother Earth is, where we live. I mean, so it's our responsibility to take care of it, right? Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes. And in that context as well, I think
Mhm.
leaders need to be more aware of these issues and
Mhm.
take those issues into consideration when they are planning anything, whether it's on the business side or, on any other aspects of saving the environment. So
Mhm.
leadership there is also very important.
Exactly, because businesses and government has definitely, I mean, the leaders within several organization would have, like, definitely a huge effect on this. So, to make it more sustainable, leaders has to have that into consideration when they make plans, when they do anything, in fact, in their
Yes.
project, right? That's
Yeah.
part of sustainability. Thank you. And I really hope that you have a magic wand to do that.
Thank you.
And so we go to the last or final question we have. So if you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be? And please feel free to share with us, like, why you chose that question and your answer to that question, in fact.
Hmm. A question I can answer, and I should be asking myself. I would say, yeah, the question would be this. Do you think spirituality should be a part of course curriculum in all the schools across the globe? And how would you want it to be implemented? So that's the question that I would want to ask. And
Mhm.
probably the answer to that would be, spirituality in effect basically deals with how humans can be very good human being a responsible citizen in Mother Nature and a responsible citizen on Earth. So I'm consciously using the word citizen on Earth rather than saying citizen in the world, because the world is a lot of things, but Mother Earth. And if you are a resident on this planet,
Mhm.
you need to be a responsible citizen of the planet. Be mindful of your actions and how that is impacting the environment around you, the ecosystems around you, the ecology, flora, fauna, everything, So if you are making a certain decision, what impact it will have on natural resources available for mankind? So spirituality, I think, deals with how you can be that good human being, a responsible citizen. It's not something which is very bound by religion, because religion is a lot of different types of religions, and there are a lot of interpretations of religious preachings across all the religions of the world. So I would say spirituality should be definitely taught as a subject across entire education journey, whether it is school, it is university, it is post graduation. It should be an integral part of what people learn, so that in the future, hopefully, we will not have the kind of catastrophic events, extreme weather events, and exhaustion of natural resources from the planet. So that's what I thought, because again, this question, I think, stems from your question of the magic wand. So then I thought, probably, what's the solution? The solution is basically, if everyone at an individual level is somebody who becomes very responsible towards everybody else and towards Mother Nature, the problem would be solved.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. I'm done with my questions. Feel free to let me know if there's any additional, message you'd like to bring in or to share with our audience today.
Um, yeah, I would say, thank you very much for having me here. And although some of the questions I said and answers I mentioned, especially the Miss Universe questions part, it might seem like they are really those magic wand questions, but it's possible if it is implemented at an individual level. It's still possible to make that change, and I would urge everybody to be that leader of change in whatever social surroundings or business surroundings that you are in. And let's try and be, good citizens on this planet.
Yes, thank you so much for this very inspiring and at the same time, I would say a very affiliative type of, interview where you really shared so much love, not only, the importance of love to yourself, but also to others and of course to our Mother Earth, and that's really important because, sustainable to have sustainability, that's very important, having that love and respect for yourself and others. So thank you very much, Manisha, for taking time to have this interview, and I really appreciate as well our audience for staying in, for giving their heart and their comments as well. And so with that, I thank you all, and we look forward to having you again to our next interview. And with that, I'd like to leave everyone with this quote from Dolly Parton: "If your action create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader." Thank you so much, and have a nice day, everyone. Stay safe.
Lovely. Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you for having me here. Thank you all. Bye bye.
Bye.